have. And stuff is really, really good. It's actual colostrum. Before, what you have bought or what has been marketed is just been aged. It's not the real thing. And now we've got the real thing, and believe it, it really helps kids get going. You know, we've had a lot of success stories with the stuff already. You know, we've had calves that have been down, they couldn't get up. Wayne Talcott, a week ago Sunday, had a set of twins, and he said one of them couldn't stand, the other one maybe get up a little bit, but they were just weak and cold because it was pretty cold out. He was wanting to go to church, and I was heading for church, so he just met me real quick, and I gave one of them to him. He had to put it down in the calves. He said before he got it all down, the second calf, the first one was up. Now listen to me. That is God's plan to get a calf go, his colostrum. And time's not on your side. You've got roughly 6 hours to get it down and get them going and really have a good immune system. Now they still, you know what I mean, it still does some good up to 12, and they don't know totally, it tails off because the stomach starts sealing off, and it tails off into 24. But get some of that stuff before you're calving, and if you've got trouble, because it'll always happen, either on, you know what I mean, 6 o'clock some evening when you're wanting to get in, or Sunday or something like that on you, and if you're not careful, see, you'll go ahead and take time, and then you've got the possibility of screwing things up and not working. Now don't think you have to use a whole bag when you open it. There's a ziploc on the top, and like at home, I zip that thing back up. A lot of times I'll third or half it. If you want a calf that you just want to fire, that, in other words, you want to get him up and get him sucking on the calf, get a third of that stuff, that bag down him, and man, it works. Now Shannon Wells, he was at our meeting up at Macomb, and he took, I think, 4 bags home, but he calves about 350 cows, and he was doing about 85 heifers. And he went home that night, and he said, sure enough, one of them, the calf, was outdoors. And he said he ran over there at 2:30, and there, that calf was cold and couldn't get up. And he said, so what I did was just get him in there, put a third of it down him, threw him in the hot box, come back at 4:30. He said that calf was bounding around. He went and run the heifer in, and he said in 3 or 4 minutes they were sucking. I really like that because, see, I like to fire them with it if we can and get some of the colostrum from your own animal down it. Because, see, that's programmed for your farm. In other words, the immune system that comes from your own colostrum. You know, at times we can't get the cow in and milk her, and that stuff is just a really good crush. And, you know, it doesn't take much to figure that a dead calf's not worth anything. But we don't, you know, we really don't have any figures of what it does to the immune system in calves. And every year we'll have a knothead, or we'll have something that doesn't do quite right, or get sick later on when we wean it. And more than likely, it's got a possibility that that's one of the reasons. So now we've got something to manage some of our situations and help with our time. So prepare, and if you look on the date on the stuff, it's 2015, like March of 2015, so we've got a long time. I'll tell you, it's probably even better, or you can probably use it past that. That's a sell date. But if you just, you know, put 1 or 2 of them around, then when trouble comes, you'll be ready. And you know what I mean? It might be the difference between getting $750 or $800 for a calf, or, you know what I mean, having to dig a hole to bury it. Now, any questions on the colostrum real quick? Like I say, it's not, now this is how I mix it. I mixed a little bit of it up here tonight, and it doesn't, it's got a lot of fat in it. So see, it's got a, like I said, it's what God wants that calf to have. There's a world of energy in that. There's even a laxative in it. And, but with all that fat,
it'll mix harder than regular milk replacer. What I did is I just put it in a bowl and with a whisk mixed the stuff real quick, put about that much water in the bottom of the bottle, poured that in on top of it, shook it up, and then poured the rest in and did the same thing, and it mixed extremely well. I was, you know, someone would say, oh, we got chunks of stuff, and you will have if you're not careful. But if you get a whisk and do that, it goes in there pretty good. So, now, one other thing I'll tell you, if you mix one up and the calf goes ahead and sucks before you get back out, I had that happen. You can, if you keep it, put it in something and seal it up, you can probably store the stuff for 3 or 4 days. That would probably be about a minimum, or 5 at the most. You know, the old thing on milk is 5, 5, 5. If you got milk, it's about 5 hours at room temperature, 5 days refrigerated, and then if you freeze it, it's about 5 months. So if you remember some of those guidelines, you know roughly where you're at. Now, one of the other things I'll tell you that we use quite a bit of is this product right here. We'll all see, or have the possibility of seeing calf scour. I really like the product because it's really gentle and it's really good. What you do, you put 10 cc's of this stuff in a syringe, just kind of pinch them by the side of the mouth, they'll open up, excuse me, and just squirt it right down the throat. They don't mind this at all. They even kind of like the taste of it, and you'll find out that the stuff works real well. Now, if you think you're having any kind of, shall I say, bacterial pneumonia or anything with it, I would tell you to go ahead and give that, and then give a shot of Baytril with it. Now, if you're fighting a virus, I'd probably tell you you'd have to change the new Fluorodraxin and that stuff down the throat. But it is really a good product. It's pretty hard to get, but we keep it all the time. And don't let it freeze. If you let it freeze, it goes to the dumpster, because it will kill it. Now, the other thing is, as far as I'm concerned, it's still the best pink eye medicine on the market. What you do is you pull about a cc or 2 of that in a syringe and topically treat the eye. In other words, just squirt it on the eye, and man, it really works. Now, if you've got eye damage or something like that, you might have to treat more than once, because you're going to have to, you know, heal that damage. But it really works well. And again, your big thing is don't let it freeze. Now, any questions around that? Good, cheap product to have around. And we need some of them, because everything's pretty hot. Now, when you get the pink eye time, I will tell you to go to town, buy a pound of Morton salt, just white salt, and put it right under the seat of your truck. And if you can't get that calf in for a day or two, when you first see him squinting, I mean, just take a handful of salt and throw it right inside. And that it'll clean the eye out. pH will change a little bit, so it'll kind of cauterize the eye to an extent. And it will probably save that eye if you can get it treated. So, you know, all this stuff, whether you're treating scours, whether you're treating pink eye, get it early on. If you do that before you let the damage happen, it's a lot easier to get under control and never let the calf sweat. So that's 2 or 3 things that you want to get. You want to have this stuff on hand, and it will help you get through some of your situations, and you'll have more money next fall. Now, this morning, real quick, a guy called me, and he didn't get his barns cleaned out real well. He said, we usually do, but he said we're busy doing other different things. And he was having a little bacterial barn scour early on his kids. I told him, I said, even if you can't get the thing cleaned out, get you some calcium and put that stuff in there. Calcium is real good in changing pH, and bacteria won't grow as fast. Our calving barn, even where we got an old grain house that I let calves go in as kind of a calf motel, and even our little kids, we do the same thing. I'll clean them. I will get granulated calcium. Now, I used to get about like a quart jar, put the, you know what I mean, fill the thing up, put the lid on it, take about a, oh, I don't know, 10 penny nail or a little bigger, put about 10 or 12 holes in it, just ka-poof, 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 spread it around, it really helps. Now I've got a grass seeder, and I just put it in that, and I just go and, you know, let me do it. That is a real good way of keeping bacteria down in either, you know what I mean, your calving pens, your loafing pens for calves, anything like that. If you've got a bad one and you're calving up in a lot, I would tell you that I'd clean that lot next summer and I'd lime them, because it will help it. So, any questions on that? pH has got a lot to do with that, with bacteria. And that's just an old home remedy. I can remember that as a kid. That was my job. My grandfather, and we did it at home too, but that's where I learned it. He, in his sparing house, when he cleaned the pens, every time he cleaned the pen, it was my job to go get, you know what I mean, the line the thing real quick and then we'd straw. And I mean, he virtually didn't have scours. And that was back in the days when he was keeping those pigs in there 6 to 8 weeks. So you're getting quite a bit of bacteria buildup. Now, one other thing that I haven't told the others, but I'll tell you guys real quick, is if you will look, University of Nebraska did this research, and it's real good. If you will calve and move calves out, and then like when they like to kind of load an area, like if say their place there would hold about 40 or 50, they would, if they had 300 or 400 cows, they would calve that many, move them out, and then they would make another cell or something and do that again. When you start having a lot younger calves run in with older calves and your bacteria counts come up, if you will watch, most of the time your later calves will have more trouble scouring. I've done that for several years at home. Like I'll load a place with 20 or 25 cows and calves, and then, but now I keep calving out of the same place. And just move them out after I calve and kind of segregate them then to ages, you'll see a lot less trouble. If you can figure out ways of doing that, that's another good way. See, whether we like it or not, we're fighting with Mother Nature, because that's her way of keeping things from being overpopulated. So as those, you know, bacteria counts come up, then you have more scours and calves. Now, any questions on any of this that I've done? It all comes down to a simple word called management and trying to get away from trouble. And it'll really add to your bottom line.
If you soil test and you got a high pH, your line still help an extra line?
Probably not if you're a real high pH around that can. You know, the only way I'd do that if I was having a lot of trouble with crypto, I would really want it high. You know, there was even, years ago, you'd see people do this. They would make a slurry out of hydrated lime and water and take that and paint like wooden floors and stuff, and that would make old equipment or, you know what I mean, facilities new. But man, it would really clean them. But you had to let that stuff dry after you did that, because if you didn't, see, that would be an alkali burn, because that's a chemical reaction, and it has to be dry. But yeah, if you've got a pretty good pH or 10, I probably would not worry about it.
Reduce the farmer sell like a 50-pound bag of calcium.
Yes. Yep. And that, you know, again, there's another real cheap way of just getting it out, and I don't care how you put it out, if you've got a little spreader, or if, you know, about all of us have got a quart jar or something sitting around, and it's just anything to kind of get it uniformly spread, it works real well.